We're live.
Yay! Hello, hello friends. Hello world. Hello WomanUP community. Oh my goodness. Please let us know in the comments that you can see us. We'd love to know. We'd love to know. We'd love to know who's here. And we'd also love to know.
Our president is listening.
Where are you watching from today? Let us know. Drop a comment and let us know where in the world you are sitting. Are you sitting at home? Are you sitting on a beach? Are you sitting in the mountains? So I'm starting to see people take staycations and vacations close to home. So make sure you let us know. Oh, Sabrina just joined. Yay, wonderful. Welcome everyone. We are here for Friday, weekly updates and a fabulous, fierce female conversation on this beautiful Friday. Sarah is going to kick us off with some CAR updates and a fun celebration announcement. And then Leslie is going to share some information about what's happening in the world of the economy. And then we're going to flow right into our conversation with today's special guest, who you can see, Taunee English. Yay! Okay, Sarah, the mic is yours.
All right, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Good afternoon, WomanUP community. I'm just going to give you a quick update. We have a new BPPP for California that is the Best Practices and Prevention Plan. It is live in Zip today, and it is 2 pages. 2 pages as opposed to our previous one, which was 8 pages. And so it's a lot. And we got feedback from our brokerage community today. They're much happier with it. Although we still don't have an answer on open houses. The governor's office, we met, our Sacramento team and our CEO met with the governor's office this week. And they're pretty much standing their ground in terms of no open houses right now. They are worried about a second wave or a spike in coronavirus cases. So that's what's driving their decision, along with the public health office. So that should help you. There is a new mask rule that covers the entire state of California. If you're in LA County, we're used to it. If you're in the Bay Area, you're used to it, but now this applies to all of California, that they do have to have a mask order. We'll put these links in the comments. Another quick update is the SBA published their revised Paycheck Protection Plan loan guidance on forgiveness. And so we have a new step-by-step guide that our attorneys put together. And there's a webinar for California on next Wednesday, 2 p.m., where our Associate Counsel, Brian Polinsky, and our Assistant General Counsel, Brian Manson, will give more insights into that step-by-step process. And the great news, given that we have Taunee today and who's largely involved in Women's Council, WomanUP is the proud recipient of the Women's Council Grant for Women in Leadership Programs. We won last year and we won again this year. So we're so grateful for that and for Women's Council support. So that's my update. We'll include the links to all of the stuff I talked about in the comments, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, Leslie, what do you have for us today?
Well, I want to say that I have the news of the May data that I promised you last week, and it's not very pretty, and it's sort of what we were expecting. And so before I tell you what the numbers are, I just want to assure you this is looking in the rearview mirror. We are looking at transactions that went into escrow after the lockdown for the most part, the last 2 weeks of May and into April. So we had a 41% year-over-year drop in transactions in May, really a stunning decline. And we also had a 3% decline in the statewide median price on a month-to-month basis. It was down 3.4% on a year-to-year basis. So this, to me, really represents kind of the darkest it's going to be, because essentially, as we all know, the economy went on pause in the middle of March, and people just stayed home, and buyers pulled back, and escrows were canceled, and sellers decided not to sell for a while and take their listings off the market. So that's really what is represented here. There are a lot of green shoots going forward, including a 67% increase in pending sales. So there we see the market that's out there. It's at a much lower level, but it's moving very, very rapidly. And my advice for conceptually thinking about the market today is think of it as January, when the buyers are all ready to go and the sellers are still trying to figure out their timing and their pricing and what they're going to do to fix their house up. Because from my perspective, the kind of veil over the market with respect to buyers is gone. They are responding to historic low rates. We had in the last week the Fed coming out again and reassuring the markets that they will be there with more liquidity and they will not be raising rates until 2022. So this is a wonderful time for buyers, but we're still seeing sellers a little bit hesitant. Everything that gets listed that's priced reasonably is selling very quickly, and we're hearing about multiple offers all over the state. So the velocity of the market is very fast. It's just an issue of talking to sellers, particularly people that were interested a few months ago, and getting them back on track, or at least answering their questions and seeing if we can work on the listing side. With respect to the macro economy, I also want to point out that we had the retail sales report come out, and it was absolutely stunning, the biggest increase we've seen in forever on a year-over-year basis. Like, we're almost at the same level of retail sales we were a year ago. So as things loosen up, consumers are getting more engaged, and we're seeing that reflected in the data. We're not out of the woods yet, but we are moving forward. And I will be giving my slide deck to post for WomanUP for all of you to look at that. And if you have any questions, you know where to reach me. So Thanks very much. I'm so excited to hear what Taunee has to say today.
I love that. I love that. Thanks, Leslie. Okay, real quick, 2 things that we want to make sure everyone knows, and we'll share this at the end again, is this is Share Your Story season. So you see Taunee here with us. We are going to be talking through her wisdom. She's going to be sharing her experiences. She is going to be sharing her stories. If you want to be highlighted in this manner, you are able to right now by starting to fill out a form. Just go to IamWomanUp.com/share-your-story. We'll drop that link in, but make sure that you're doing that. This is the season where we're gathering everything for the conference in September. So share your story. Be bold like Taunee and share your story. Second is the virtual passes for the conference are going to go on sale on the 29th of June. However, we are planning to have access at least the weekend before that for the WomanUP community. So keep an eye out in your email from WomanUP for that link, okay? We want you to have extra time to get your tickets, to get the VIP swag kit if you want it. It'll all be over on IamWomanUp.com. If you did buy your ticket, if you already bought it, if you bought it last year, if you bought it in January or February, you got an email from us with a super crazy special for you to flip it over into a virtual pass or a virtual VIP ticket. So if you didn't get that email and you are sure you bought your ticket, message us, message Sarah, message myself, we'll get you connected. Okay, now for the conversation of the hour, of the week on Juneteenth. Hello, everyone. Welcome, Taunee English. Okay, we've got an awesome bio from her. Sarah's going to start off, and we're going to learn a little about this magnificent woman.
First of all, Taunee, thank you so much for taking time with us today. You always say yes to our questions. You always, I do want to give you a special shout out because we had a kind of a sensitive post. I wouldn't say kind of, but a very sensitive post about killing of George Floyd and what we can do and what WomanUP can do, and what we have been doing. And Taunee was so great to give us feedback and names of wonderful people who are hearing about it and want to help and listening. And so, Taunee, we hear you.
Thank you. And I appreciate that.
Yes, and we see you. So Taunee is the 2019 Greater Los Angeles Realtor of the Year. Woo. She's a third-year award-winning real estate broker of Alliance Realty Group, a ResiMercial, I love that term, boutique brokerage serving Greater LA. And you are also, Taunee, a U.S. veteran. So thank you for your service. And devoted to entrepreneurship, professional development, and you are also a chair of the Professional Development Committee at the Greater Los Angeles Board of Realtors. You're also a board of state director for our board, CAR. So, and I think Deborah's going to share a little bit more.
I do. Yeah. I have, but wait, there's more. So Taunee is a strong supporter of women in leadership. Hello. And is president-elect and one of the founding members of the Women's Council of Realtors, Metro LA Beverly Hills. Woo! She's co-owner of Autism West Behavior Partners, a Denver-based ABA therapy agency providing services to children with autism. I'd love to know what ABA stands for, so hopefully you'll share that with us.
It stands for Applied Behavior Analysis.
Okay, awesome, thank you. But most of all, and what we have all experienced on this group, and if you follow her on social media, this woman is devoted to her parents. She plays twinsy with her mom, which we've seen. Oh my gosh, those fashion shoots are awesome. She does those 3 times a year, everyone. 3 times a year she does those. And she loves to take her dad to Lakers games. He now is on the onset of Alzheimer's, which prompted Taunee, because of course she doesn't just stay still. It prompted her to obtain her certificate in fiduciary management from UC Riverside and to further her work with families in establishing trusts and avoiding probate. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So good. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction, ladies.
Oh, our pleasure. Leslie, I think you're going to kick us off.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was just waiting to get called on. But hi, everybody. It's me again. And I know Taunee well enough to not mix it up and ask her an unexpected question. So I am just going to ask you, Taunee, it's a crazy world out there right now. How are you doing?
You know, it's ups and downs. I get frustrated when I repost and stuff like that. But of course, I don't shut up. I respond right back at those posts and everything. But yeah, I'm working through it and everything. So, and I'm glad to be on here today, especially for this day, because my grandfather actually was one of the founders of the Negro Voting Federation in Louisiana. So this is a great day to kind of honor him for that too. And I did inherit that spirit of, politics and things like that, and equal rights and fair housing from him, I think.
Yep.
Taunee, I love that. I do want to mention that it's Juneteenth and CAR is open. However, we're closing down our doors from 2 to 4 today to learn a little bit more about Juneteenth. And then we have a special guest speaker as well. But we really want to learn and dig in. And I know our leadership team who is listening is going to be talking about this. Should it be, and CAR was one of the first associations in the country to honor MLK, Martin Luther King Day. So we're talking about it. I want you to know, and congratulations to your grandfather. I think you come from a long line of people of action, which is beautiful. And I just, we talk about in this series opportunities for leaders and what you see as opportunities for leaders. And I do want to, touch on the fact that we are dealing with some racial tension, and honestly, the tension comes from inequality, right? So are there not only what opportunities do you see for leaders, but what opportunities do you see for people not Black that can help and be a part of the solution. Because we did talk about this with Sabrina last week as well. I think we really, and our leadership team is really digging into this. You know, our strategic planning group met earlier this year with several voices to try to dig into fair housing. And now it's even more of an issue and more of, I think, an opportunity for us to move forward. So what is your take on all of that? And where do you see us going?
Well, right now, I don't know if you read the Jay Thomas article yesterday from in Inman.
I did.
You know, and right now, I think the biggest opportunity is to clean house. This is a great opportunity to clean house of, you know, like you said, racist and bigot real estate leaders, because they are a danger to fair housing. They're a danger to fair employment. They're a danger of, you know, I call them gatekeepers of, you know, keeping out non-white people in leadership. And particularly in decision-making, policy-making leadership positions, not just, you know, on a, you know, being a leader of something that, of a committee or a job position that really doesn't have any decision-making, you know, power, you're just there. So I definitely appreciate that article. And I appreciate Robert Reffkin's article or his call for action that, you know, just like we were having now with the women being on, you know, on any public held companies, that they should be on the board. He's calling for an action to have us on there, because if you see more of us in those decision-making leadership roles, it can kind of reduce all this thinking that we're lesser than, or, you know, because that's why we keep, you know, you see a lot of us still getting killed and things like that, because we still being treated as lesser than. You know, I had posted about Robert Reffkin saying that, you know, he wants his agents to use 13% of their funds, you know, supporting Black professionals. 13%, because that equals 13% of the U.S. population. And the response I received was, well, that's racist. Or why should we be forced to use use vendors who provide shitty products, excuse my language, but that's what was posted, or inferior products. You know, you have a sense of people thinking that if you use a Black professional, we provide inferior products and services. And the only way that could change is seeing more of us included, you know, and it's more of an equity thing than a equality thing, because equity is about, you know, having proportional representation to give an opportunity to us, which we're not currently given, you know, to give us access. So that's pretty much part of the call of action, is having the public held companies, you know, have us on the boards. What was listed was only in the real estate industry, only Compass and eXp Realty has a Black person on their board, by the way.
Yeah, you know, what's interesting about what you're sharing is, you know, one of the things inside the WomanUP community, Taunee, and you've been really good about helping us remember this from the very beginning, which is the intersectionality that this community represents, right? We have amazing, brilliant, bold Black women who are smart, articulate, and say yes to opportunity.
Right.
And I think I can speak for all three of us in that we hear you and we agree with you, right? And I think that that's where we have such an amazing opportunity inside this community to show the world in twofold, right? Let's raise women, and specifically Black women, into these positions and highlight their voices and share their stories, which kind of leads to the next question, which is, I'm sure that it's not stopped from the last time I asked you, which is people asking you, what do we do? What should I do? Where should I go? You know, how can I help? How are you? All of the questions,
right,
as a Black community member. So if you could condense it down for those listening, what advice or resources do you find you're saying, go here, read this, do this?
Well, I definitely sharing every day things for people to read and everything. But one of the things when I get calls, right, and they want to post things, stuff like that. And what I've been pretty much saying is that, you know, if you really want to, going beyond reading books and stuff like that, really think about this. When you think about referring us, right? Do you think about just referring us Black, people or not in image or, low income people? Because if you are, you're treating us like the N word, or start really thinking about, or when you're thinking about leadership positions, putting us in leader positions, or not even considering putting us in leaders positions, you are treating us lesser than, which is the N word. Are you fully aware when you think about putting us in a leadership position, but then you give us a white handler, right? You are treating us lesser than, which is the N word. So I've been telling people.
What does that mean? Could you tell
the N word?
Well, no, not the N word.
Well, but okay.
I know what words you're talking about there.
Right.
The white
N word. Well,
part.
the defining of that is that when people, the definition of the N word is, lesser than, deficient, that we lack. Yet when, like for instance, when someone called me about getting a referral just recently, and I sent her a referral and it happened to be a Black man, but I didn't think about him being Black. I'm like, he's a top producer. He's a CR director. He's a certified CR instructor, right? The same person was, calling me for advice of what to post on Facebook so she can avoid sound like a racist. But then she doesn't recall him. She asked me for the referral, but she does not call him at all to refer her clients because she's, if there's a thinking that we can't service any other color besides ourselves. And that's not true. Yeah. They worry about matching their non-Black clients with us. And that's not, we are able to service. I mean, I have a record of consistently selling in predominant white neighborhoods over comps. Majority of my clients, 80% of my clients are non-Black. Right. I manage a $30 million trust all by myself. But with all that, I'm still not considered on decision-making committees, at all.
Yeah, well,
I'm not even asked.
And so hearing in there is this call to action and what you're trying to help us see, and this resource is ourselves, right? Like, right. Why are you referring the person you're referring to who you're referring them to? Like, really be aware of that. I think that is a brilliant, right? Michael Jackson, start with the woman in the mirror, the man in the mirror, right? That concept.
Look at yourself.
Yeah. And I do love that you've been very vocal about, like, don't stop at reading a book. Like, it's great to read a book. However, there are things that you can do to take action. And I know that for those of you who want more of what Taunee is serving here, make sure you're following her on social media. She's on Instagram. She's here on Facebook, loud and proud, and she shares all sorts of great information for sure.
And just another thing too, that was, I guess, a pet peeve recently. I was on a call and they started on how stressful it was to board up their real estate offices, right? And there was two of us, Black male and myself, on this call. And, they just finished, talking about how they read The Color of Law and how angry and stressed they were, angry about it and everything. But they then asked us how we were doing. And then when it went on to talk about how stressful it was to board up their building, I had to unmute myself and share that. Imagine how stressful it was for me to have to leave my office in Beverly Hills at 3:00 in the afternoon because a curfew came out at 4. And when I walk out, there was a police car right between me and my car. And my first thought was, fuck. And then I dropped my phone into my car, in my purse, because I didn't want it to be perceived as a weapon. And this is at 3:30 in the afternoon in Beverly Hills. I travel all around the world by myself. I walked the street of Dubai at 10, 11 o'clock at night and never felt unsafe. But I felt unsafe right here in Beverly Hills at 3:30. And I was like, and my comment to them was, imagine feeling like an endangered species and how that's, it's 2020 to feel like an endangered species. I do feel and empathize with you about how stressing it was for you to have to board up your offices and everything. But, you have building insurance, but then of course I have life insurance too.
Taunee, I want to talk to you a little bit about communication and kind of what works and what doesn't work. And I
Okay.
think this is such a a perfect example of the fact that you go in and do battle on Facebook every day. More power to you. You know, I accepted long ago that nobody's mind gets changed on Facebook, and it's just kind of a fool's errand. But on the other hand, you know, if you're silent, you're not a leader. Like, a leader is visible. I mean, you have to stand your ground and stand for something,
right?
If you're really going to move things forward. So I'm wondering how you approach. I mean, you're so strong and a powerhouse, but sometimes you have to adjust that a little bit. I mean, how do you gauge your communication in order to get kind of the most effective response?
Well, what I've learned to do is I would start a topic, you know, our conversation, and then let other people get involved in that conversation. Because sometimes I learned that it won't be taken seriously from me, unfortunately. But, you know, I could start the process, and then someone else, like a white male usually, you know, closes it for me. So I learned to play that game for a long time. If I want something to done, it's like, you know, I always have to partner up with someone else to really get the message across.
You know, and I think that's a little bit, you know, I'm white, you're black. I've learned how to do that too. You know, it's just a question of you know, kind of degree, whatever.
Yeah. But, you know, and that's one part of the communications in the big form. That is, I've used that before, but the tips I would say is that I try, you know, people at this time should not deflect from the message. If we're talking about, you know, this is a topic, let's stay on topic and don't deflect into COVID and things like that, because that's just, you know, insensitive and just, you know, disrespectful. And I've seen that happen. Listen, acknowledge others' feelings and viewpoints without judging or defending, you know, or start listing all the books you read and everything. Just let the person finish their sentence before you start listing how great of a good person you are because you read all these books. I've been telling people, especially the ones who have really shown that they're a racist, please take, you know, NAR's implicit bias test. Here you go. I do believe that we should create and implement a mandatory diversity sensitivity training, you know, across the board. I believe that, you know, there should be more consulting and listening to people of the affected group versus speaking for them. And lastly, I think more than anything else, people need to check their intentions. You know, check and see, are you speaking out of white guilt or self-righteousness, or are you really trying to make a difference?
Yeah, no, that's really good advice, because I think for many people, and as I watch, you know, on television and just see all ages, all colors, all, you know, how do we keep this going and make kind of specific changes? And I really appreciate the comments that you have made, because it's not platitudes. And I'm all for reading books, because I think people do need to get educated and get angry, but it's not enough. I think we've all learned, like, this is, if we want to change this, and, you know, I've been watching this for decades, just like many like you, right? We got to mix it up here and do something concrete and different.
Right. I agree.
So I couldn't take notes fast enough, and I'm so grateful for the recording of this, Taunee, because we are having this conversation within the high ranks of CAR in what we can do to make sustained change, right? And I would love for you to share your parting words of wisdom, what you want people to stick with from this conversation.
Well, my favorite thing now that I keep repeating is there's a difference between diversity and inclusion. You know, diversity is being asked to the party. Inclusion is being asked to dance at the party. So basically, if, you know, Black lives matter enough, then it should be matter enough to put us into leadership roles.
100%.
I love that. And how perfect is that from our dancing MC?
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
I do like to dance figuratively and
That was such a
literally.
highlight of that meeting. Oh my goodness.
That's my new favorite song.
So I know, well, and I love watching the recording of that. I actually shared it on Instagram, and every time I would fly by it, I just watching you do like the attention. I'm like, oh man, is pay attention to this woman, right? And you just got us all moving and grooving. But it was also
That was
about
fun.
respect.
That was fun. Thank you, and I really appreciate that. That was fun. That you definitely took me out of my comfort zone with having me do that. So that was awesome. So thank you all three ladies for that.
We couldn't tell. We could not tell. Yeah. Beautiful.
You owned the stage. Big time.
Absolutely. Well, and you know, I'd love to speak to something that you said when you were answering Leslie's question. And I think that, you know, we are going to talk about it in the book club that's happening at the end of this month on the White Fragility book. And it's about centering and positioning and bringing the spotlight back to you. And this is something that I feel like I'm having this conversation with my friends of all shades right now. And what does that mean? Right. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who are listening, who are trying to figure out your way around that, what does that look like? How do you navigate through that? Are you doing it? The answer is likely yes, you are doing it. Most of us I was raised in a family where it was when people that you don't know or people you're in a conversation with come into your space, make them feel comfortable and relate to them.
Right.
Right now, you don't need to relate. You need to listen.
Yep.
Exactly. And so if you are asking yourself, if I say this, am I centering? It's probably yes. So save it. Save it for later. We can have that conversation later. Oh my goodness. So before we close out the show, I know that we said inclusion is being asked at the dance party, but I really want you to look into the camera and speak into the leader who is thinking, how do I honor what all of these people are doing out there fighting for this movement called Black Lives Matter? Like, what is one thing that they can go out and do today? What is it action they can take from you, a leader of action, to be part of the solution?
Okay. I would say, don't stop, don't give up, and just speak up. You know, just the days of us not speaking up and just swallowing it and just accepting that that's who that person is. No, we're done with that. It's time to call people out, hold them accountable, and if need be, get them fired. Quite honestly.
Yeah, take action. I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us, Taunee. Do you ladies have any more questions before we close?
I usually ask our audience if they have any questions. So now's your chance, ladies.
Yes. So let me do a quick closeout, and you check the stream, Sarah. So I really want to make another plea for sharing your story. I know so many of you were impacted by Taunee's stories today, and that's the point, is for them to maybe inspire you, maybe ignite you into change, maybe wake you up. And so I know you all have stories that are worthy of the spotlight. Please go to IamWomanUp.com/share your story and start the process. It doesn't mean that you'll absolutely be on a stage, but it does mean we'll share your story on the blog or on a Facebook Live conversation like this. It is our heart's desire to get those stories shared. So make sure you're doing that. Also, if you've been a speaker for us before, if you've been on the stage, if you've been on a Facebook Live and you're thinking, well, I've already told my story, and you don't have a new one quite yet, you can also recommend an inspiring woman on the Share Your Story page. Mm-hmm. So go to that page and simply click that button and send us a message and let us know who she is, right? Let us know who she is. Again, those general passes are going to go on sale for the conference where all these stories will be highlighted, not until the 29th, but we'll get early bird access. And last note, is that next week we have Regina Brown on for a conversation with us. We are going to continue this conversation of leading in times of crisis. And well, let's pray we don't have a new crisis by next week. Yes. But we do know this community pivots and moves so beautifully together in unison, and we are here for you. So any questions in the link, Sarah, or you want to close this out?
No, but I do want to comment. Mimi Narte, one of our keynote speakers from last 2019 WomanUP, said, why is the thematic question? We all need to understand our own why in everything we do. You have a lot of love in this chat box right here. Tammy Bunnell, we'll see you later, Tammy, but diversity and inclusion, important to invite, but also important to lean in. The dance was my favorite part of the event. Inspiring leadership. Thank you for hosting this. You're amazing, Taunee. We love you, Taunee. Good stories, Taunee. So with that, I think we could close it out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Taunee. It was so wonderful to see you today.
Thank you. It was great to see all of you, as always.
Yes, thank you. Bye, everyone. We'll see you next Friday.
Bye. Take care, everyone.